Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Several roads across the island blocked following heavy rains. NWA says they are relatively prepared for any effects brought on by the weather patterns. And later in sports, local football remain on pause due to continued effects of Hurricane Ian. I'm Kalisha Williams and here are the details. The Met Service of Jamaica says the outer bands of Hurricane Ian will continue to affect the island today into tomorrow. The forecast is for periods of moderate to heavy rainfall and thunderstorms to continue across southern and northeastern parishes. Periods of showers and thunderstorms, especially in the afternoon, are expected during this time. Now, a flash flood warning is in effect for low-lying and flood-prone areas of St. Mary, Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland. This will remain in place until 5 o'clock Tuesday morning. They also warn that due to the extended period of rainfall and high ground saturation, landslides are likely. And sections of Clarendon have been inundated by floodwaters as the outer bands of Hurricane Ian continue to pound the island. Now, this includes sections of Annan Town, the Trout Hall Main Road, Denby to Manchester Avenue Main Roads and adjoining streets. TVJ News was informed that the Pennants Main Road has been blocked by fallen trees. Now, according to the National Works Agency, caution is being advised in Annan Town near the Thatch Walk Bridge due to rising water levels along the roadway. Member of Parliament for North Central Clarendon, Robert Morgan, also shared videos of flooding in the Butner area.
Many of the schools are closed. Clarendon College is closed. Several other schools are online because it would have been dangerous for students and teachers to try to reach school this morning. We have a cutoff in Suttons. The road is split in two. The road to Colonel's Ridge, that's Morgan's Pass to Colonel's Ridge, pretty much doesn't exist anymore. It's the main connector between Chapelton and Kellits. We had some problems with it in the previous times, but now it has been essentially a significant amount of landslides, scoring, and destruction. It's not drivable by vehicles now.
We are relatively prepared. That's a response from the National Works Agency, NWA, to questions about its readiness to counter the impacts from the outer bands of Hurricane Ian, Tropical Storm Ian, which is now a Category 1 hurricane. Sandy Williams reports.
Even though Tropical Storm Ian, now a Category 1 hurricane, has moved further away from Jamaica, its outer bands have been battering sections of the island. Since the weekend, mostly southern parishes have been reeling from its impact. According to the National Works Agency, NWA, the continuous rains pose a grave threat to infrastructure in the affected areas.
The fear for us is really where we have we might have had landslides or breakaways before. Those can become worsened. Where the hillsides and embankments become heavily saturated because of hours and hours of rainfall, that too will in some instances cause landslides to impact roads, either reducing them to single lane or completely blocking them.
However, speaking on TVJ's Smile Jamaica program on Monday, NWA Communications Manager Stephen Shaw says the agency is relatively prepared to respond to emergencies.
From our standpoint, we were reasonably well prepared. We have some plans that are standing. Every year we meet with our key stakeholders on whom we rely for assistance, equipment operators, contractors, to assist us in our response to whatever may happen. And so we had those plans and they would have worked, I'm sure, because they have worked before.
Mr. Shaw reasons that the state-run entity completed the first tranche of drain cleaning activities in June.
We got another bit of funds through the ministry in early September, and we actually started the process to getting some critical drains clean. Last week, before the Ian became Ian, when it was TD9, we were instructed to go out and treat with some of the more critical areas. And so we did work in many places in preparation for what was then the Tropical Depression number 9. And we'll continue.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
And we are now joined by NWA Communications Manager Stephen Shaw. Good afternoon, Mr. Shaw. Can you say what is the latest regarding blocked roads due to the consistent rain since the weekend?
Yes, we are getting more reports of corridors that have been rendered impassable due to the situation with the now Hurricane Ian. The road in Clarendon, the road from Freetown to Fort Pat is now impassable. It's inundated in the area for towards Rasta Corner. And so persons who wish to travel to between Old Harbour and Maypen, we are advising them to use the east-west toll road to get by that particular area. Where it is that you are trying to get I had already mentioned the Lower Chapelton to Rock River Road, which had broken away. Critically too in St. Catherine, the Bogwalk Gorge, that is now closed because that particular corridor is inundated. The river has risen, and so we are advising persons not to venture there. The road from Port Henderson to Spanish Town, that's the Bernard Lodge Road, that too is flooded. And so if you're operating a small vehicle, do not try to go there. St. John's Road, that is the road leading to the Dovecot. That road is now impassable. It's flooded. The corridor from Russell Pen to Mango Grove, that is in the Treadways area, that too is impassable at this time. We have some landslides impacting roads in Westmoreland as well. Hopeton to Auchendown, Torrington to Pennycook, and Ferris to Maxine are being impacted. In Trelawney, the road from Wirefence to Warsaw, that too is also being impacted. So we are getting the reports, Kelisha, from pretty much all the more southern parishes, because that is where it seems much of the rainfall is taking place at this time.
Mr. Shaw, before you go, I want to ask you about the corporate area. I understand that Marcus Garvey Drive was also impacted by floodwaters.
Yes, we had a bit of flooding along Marcus Garvey Drive, which is not unexpected given the amount of rainfall that we'd have seen overnight into this morning. It would appear, though, that the floodwaters are receding, which is a good sign.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Shaw. That's Stephen Shaw, Communications Manager at the National Works Agency. Continuing the news now, the rains have forced several school gates shut, but they're open online. However, for school administrators in Westmoreland, internet connectivity is a major issue. Jamila Maitland is in the parish and now reports.
Thanks, Kelisha. It's still pouring rain in several sections of Westmoreland. Now, earlier we saw scores of children who were forced to return home after padlocked school gates greeted them when they arrived at school Monday morning. Now, we saw a parent earlier who was actually fixing his vehicle that broke down when he went to pick up his daughter.
I bring her to school and realize the school gate locked, so I just think so because of the weather, so I just turn back and bring her home.
You see other students like her at the school gate? Or
no. So I wonder if I'm alone to get in my mouth, so.
At the Little London Primary and Infant School, Principal Charlotte Craig Davis told us that just about a handful of students came to school this morning. Now, others have since returned. However, there are children who are still waiting for a pickup and no doubt doing some schoolwork in the meantime.
When I came this morning, I think probably about minutes to 8, I saw 2 students. And after that, I think I saw about 4. But I questioned the teachers a little before you came in, and they said about 10 students were in school. So bottom line, that was it. And then I went on my WhatsApp group because I have all the teachers in. So I messaged them and I told them those who were here, they can go ahead and get some work done. And those who are at home, let they remain at home because it was still drizzling.
She says the rains have pushed the students back into the virtual classroom. Teachers have been communicating with students online to complete assignments. However, it's a learning mode that the school dreads. There is no internet and the online attendance is poor.
Well, I went online. My phones are over there. I was online this morning looking into the different classrooms, and there were infant teachers who actually WhatsApp the teachers, and the primary students are doing the same. But for my entire school straight up to grade 6, I don't have any internet up there. So it is those who can get, and some of them would actually come down here just to get the internet.
The school says it will continue to monitor the situation even as a flash flood warning remains in effect for the parish. Reporting from Westmoreland, I'm Jamaica Maitland for TVJ News.
Thanks, Jamila. Meanwhile, over in St. Elizabeth, the majority of the schools in that parish closed their doors due to the adverse weather conditions which continue to affect the island. However, the morning shift at the Lacovia High School was in session when our news team visited. The principal of the institution, Ricardo Bennett, says the school has suffered no damage, so he decided not to call off school.
So what we're doing now is doing an assessment to see whether we should operate as normal for the afternoon shift. So that decision will be made and communicated in short order.
Now, he says less than 10% of the student population was in attendance for classes, but he wanted to ensure the school was open to accommodate them. However, classes were still in session for boarders of the Monroe College and Hampton School for Girls in the parish. Despite the heavy rains on the weekend, fisherfolk in Alligator Pond, Manchester, have done little to secure their vessels. As Krista Campbell found out, they'd been skeptical about the tropical storm making landfall in Jamaica.
Dark skies in Alligator Pond, the seaside town in southern Manchester that easily floods during normal rainfall. In fact, sand only recently started returning to the beach after years of erosion. So with news of an impending storm, Lance Dixon moved his boat to higher ground.
Just get water in control and safe.
But he's one of only 2 fisherfolk in Alligator Pond who did so before the storm watch was lifted.
Here in Alligator Pond, almost all the boats still line the shore as storm fears ease among the fisherfolk.
When we use a 40 knots, we never fit too feet over about it because we pass a lot of 40 knots and you do no damage also. But if we have over 40 knots, we are prepared. But we don't prepare because 240 knots are breeze. All right.
So are you still concerned even though there's no longer a tropical storm?
We used to it because my banana grow in a later pan. So we used to the flood. So we know when it come, it take a time like 1 week and a half to dry up, the water dry up.
Harris Witter further explains that fish have been hard to catch over the past few months, and so fishers are also happy about the inclement weather.
The fish can manage 40 knots a breeze. And if any manage it, every manage it, and fish move along, so you catch a lot. Because we have been on this for a long time. Because when you come in, we don't get no push and a catch. So this is the way that we feel saying, oh, they don't hold back the fish and the lobster then.
It's a gamble that councillor caretaker for the Alligator Pond Division, Omar Robinson, wants the state to address.
They might lose pots and other things out there that they would have set to catch fish further on. So I am concerned about that. Most of the boats you see here, there are no insurance. No insurance, and if something goes wrong, it's a total loss for the fisher folks.
To other news now, business owners at Richmond in St. Mary are now counting their losses after a fire destroyed their buildings. But as we hear in this report, quick action from residents prevented further damage to the residential properties close by.
It was all hands on deck as residents of Richmond and St. Mary reacted to a massive blaze at an unoccupied building in the community, moving out highly combustible items and stalling the spread of the fire.
Man, I want to say, brother, when time we come on and we hear what go on, every man have to just get hands to hands, you know, and stay and start get beer jug and up and down busy. I want to tell you, my house all near on the side there too, so when I see fire come across, I want to tell you, brother, I want people, I want to do everything in I want to a fire escalate big, you know. But we there with teamwork and your fireman them reach and, you know, whole heap of water we have to fling from all upstairs, you see it?
When I come to Richmond, I saw the fire going up on Mr. Kong Tower. So the community persons was so supportive by helping Mr. Kong to put the blaze out. Okay. So I don't know the real nature of the fire. I only see the store blazing on come on Mr. Kong compound. And there's a auto parts place there. So they throw out the batteries and all of those stuff out there to save the building.
2 units from the Port Maria Fire Department later arrived and assisted to put out the blaze. The blaze started around 6 p.m. and quickly spread to adjoining business places. At least 4 properties were damaged: a computer store, 2 haberdasheries, and an auto store owned by Mr. Wilson Kong.
This could have been avoided because we had reported to the parish council just this year that the old buildings need to be licked down, right? Because they pose a threat of fire hazard, you know, to the whole block, and this is what happened.
An estimate of the cost of the damage has not yet been determined. In the meantime, the constituency chairman of Southeast St. Mary, Patrick McLeod, believes more fire units are needed in the parish.
And as we develop, it is a community that is developing in around St. Mary, and I think the authorities were not putting in enough infrastructure to come in time with development that need to happen. Not saying that a fire station needed to be everywhere, but as Highgate, the adjoining town develops and Richmond develops, then you need to know that you maybe need more fire units nearer, so we could maybe have prevented a loss like this.
Cody Ann Barrett for TVJ News.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Kalisha Williams. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, good afternoon.